back to a new TouchDesigner tutorial. This one I'm going to show you how I achieved this flower-like particle animation, specifically using Force SOP and Metaball to control the particle. And on top of that, I'm going to show you how to make our particle floating with a long trail like this. So let's jump right in. First, let's create sphere SOP. And set primitive type to polygon. Orientation to Z-axis. And we're going to connect with source. Point sort we go for by vertex order. So now let's grab our metaball. The radius I like to go for 1.6. The rest we keep. Oh wait, maybe let's set to 10. And grab a force SOP. This one we're going to activate the directional force at first, and direction C once, correct, and then axial force set to 2.5, vortex force set to 1.5, and spiral we're gonna make it like 25. Awesome. Now let's grab our particle SOP. Select our sphere, the first, and our metaball to the third one. Yes. At forces, we are going to set our external force Y to 0.3. Let's have a wind to minus 0.3, and set to 0.2. And turbulence X to set 2 for now, and let's have C at 3. I'm going to randomize our it a little bit. Okay, let's make the mesh to be like 5, also drag set to 5. Third, I would go around 500, and life effect would be roughly 7. This is something special. Look interesting to me. So from time to time I like to refresh my particle. So let's grab a sharp keyboard. And select them here. So the type 1 is restart. Okay. Now we connect with null object. So now let's connect them to geometry Kalm. And set up our animation scene by grabbing camera, render top, and set up your preferred resolution. Mine would always be Full HD, pixel format 16-bit float. Okay. We're going to make our background, black background using transform. Color 1 and come over background color on. Look nice, messy. Alright, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the camera and set 3 to 15. Now we're going to add the material to our particle. Let's grab a constant. Up more visible, but we're going to make it even more interesting, like by adding a lot of feedback. So let's grab feedback, up, create the composite, this one is going to be over. Edge, and level. I'm going to reduce our opacity to 0.5 and let's have a keyboard so we can refresh the feedback. So it's going to be number 2 this time. We're gonna drag Kalm to target top. Let's move to here instead. On the edge, I like to set the black level to 0.03. 0.03 and the strength to 0.7. Also, I'm gonna decrease sample step to 0.7, something like this. Now take a look at the blur. Set the filter size to 4. Sample step, let's set to 0.6. Yeah, maybe 0.8. Looks good to me. Okay, so I'm going to copy this setup. Control V. Let's connect it here. And we're going to delete blur. Okay. I forgot. At the edge, we put the comp over input. Maybe reduce sample step a little bit. Okay. The second feedback, I'm going to make the edge, this edge color to be bluish, my favorite color, and no black level. This one also come over input. It's smaller, and let's see if we can increase the blue. Yes, very nice. Like this, a little bit smaller, yeah, like this. We have something that I don't want here. Maybe reduce opacity. Look good. So I would like to have the particle have a long trail. To achieve this, we're going to create another feedback by grabbing the feedback node from the palette. Filter, feedback. To drag the render to here, and feedback we're going to connect composite. This one going to be maximum. I'm going to bring this here like this. On the feedback, let's change opacity of the feedback to be a little bit more precise, like 0.973, and dry wet mix to be something like 0.939. I think this is kind of good amount. Looks good to me. So now we have our particle that's with the long trail. Next one, I'm going to show you how to play around with our Metaball and Force. With this, control our particle nicely, and to see how the system works, and I will demonstrate some parameter what it does. So First, let's split the screen so it's nicer to see. This one I'm going to make it so top viewer, and we deactivate this side back up top. So talk about Metaball. So Metaball SOP works as a force field. The force field is specified by the weight and a kernel function. So the surface of the metaball exits whenever the density of the metaball's field reaches a certain threshold. So you take a look here. Basically, around the surface of metaball will be zero density. In the middle here would start to be the density field or equal the threshold value. So possible is like 0.5, and of course at the center here would be 1 value. And about the XYZ exponent, so this thing is create the movement to either to be more like squarishness or starishness. So for example, xt exponent, if the value more than 1, it appear to be like a star. So you see, look like a star. And if it's lower than 1, it appear to be like a square. As well as here. So that's how the metaball works. We set back to 1. So there are obviously different model here. You can take a look. I'm not going to detail here. You can visit the derivative page about metaball here to see how different model type work. Then kernel, Y view, and Ln kernel. How does it work here? So check out this page. Let's move to force. So basically, force SOP work as attractor or repulsion force field for the particle. So if we activate the radial force, it is gonna trigger a force towards or away from the center or closer to the center. Directional force, basically for specific controlling of the direction, axial force and vortex force and spiral to be more specific in this field. So maybe if we set to 1, now refresh the particle. So you see the different setting 2.5. Yeah, you have a lot more spinning. Sara force, of course, is quite obvious, so you get very strong spiral movement. Look like a firework. Really nice force. Yeah, play around with this. I think I said was my setting was 25, so gonna keep at 25. So now there's some extra tips and tricks, so you can play something more extra for this type of animation with the particle and force and metaball. So this tip and trick, you can play with the different object. For example, let's grab a box sub. And let's connect and see how it looks. Refresh particle. It looks quite different. How about we use the division? Boom. Very nice. Another thing I have not mentioned on the sphere, it looks also different if you change the sphere, the primitive to mesh. Let's refresh and see how it looks. Boom. It's different, also different, nice. And maybe you just play around with connectivity. Maybe it looks different. Oh, like firework. Look quite the same. Try different object and then you play around with it. I actually like box. It's very flower like I plan to. Very nice. And the thing that you can do, the second tip and trick, don't just have one. So I like to have my particle maybe spin a little bit. Let's add the twist. Make it tiny, little bit spinning. And we set the strength to maybe 30. Oh, primary axis set to C axis. Yeah. And row off maybe 1.5. Reset. Boom. I like it. but I think my feedback trail doesn't work that well anymore. So maybe you like something like this. It's also look interesting. I'm gonna make it back to my simple flower because I keep my trail a little bit more stable and sharp. So also mess around with the particle mass and drag. Like I like it to make it slower, like put 7, refresh. It's kind of nicer when it's slower. It's a little bit different, but this is a lot nicer to me. Or you can play with more turbulence. So play around with this. Another thing I like to do something with it is maybe add some brightness and contrast. So add level. Would be nice, maybe my particle, the head is a little bit bigger. Let's see if I increase this here, something like this. A lot nicer. I'm happy now. So that was it. Hope this tutorial is helpful for you, or at least you are having fun with it. If you like to support me and get the regular updates, please check my Patreon. Gonna be linked in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again in the next tutorial.